It's Hill and Monique here, and thank you for tuning in to this special Dreamy Deep Dive.
We invite you, our listener, to gently settle into your space. Find a comfortable position, perhaps loosen any tight clothing.
And if you are driving or maybe just relaxing at home, please turn your attention away from any screen.
As always, this is all audio only. There is absolutely no need to look at your device. Let your eyes rest.
That really is the core purpose of this format, isn't it? We want this time to be, well, restorative and enriching for you.
Absolutely. This screen-free focus, where you allow just the words and maybe your own imagination to guide you, it's actually a powerful act of self-care. It sounds simple, but it makes a difference.
Think about the immediate health benefits you're gaining right now just by giving your eyes that break.
You know, you're easing eye strain, maybe helping to ward off those little tension headaches that creep up from staring at screens all day. That constant glow of blue light, it does take a toll.
It really does. And allowing your mind to just focus on deeper thought without the constant visual input, without the notifications popping up.
It fosters deeper relaxation, definitely, like sharper mental clarity too sometimes.
Yeah.
And it really supports mindfulness, just being present with the sound.
It's a quiet moment away from, well, the digital whirlwind, isn't it? And that helps improve sleep quality later tonight, maybe even helps lower stress and regulate your mood just a little bit.
So true. So we really hope you take a deep, slow breath right now. Just let go. Let us guide you.
And trust that your brain is ready for some truly fascinating and, let's be honest, deeply silly information tonight.
Because tonight we are exploring a radical, almost unsettling claim. A story so massive and so outrageous
that it has defined a new reality for hundreds of thousands of people, simply by existing right above your head.
Imagine this for a moment. What if one of the most common, seemingly innocent creatures in our natural world?
You know, the kind you see every single day?
What if it didn't actually exist? What if that simple, peaceful act of birdwatching was actually an act of organized mass government surveillance?
Wow. That's quite a thought.
This is the bold, maybe even sensational hook we're starting with. Tonight, we calmly unmask the jaw-dropping plot that claims birds are not real.
Not real at all.
But are, in fact, sophisticated surveillance drones, operated by, shadowy figures embedded deep within the United States government.
So we are embarking on a dreamy deep dive. We're going into the story, the plot, and maybe the profound meaning behind this satirical movement known as Birds Aren't Real.
Exactly. Our mission is to move beyond just the surface level of the joke, because it is funny, but there's more to it.
Right. We're going to unpack the minute, kind of constructed details of this beautifully complex absurdity.
To really understand why hundreds of thousands of people, mostly younger generations, Gen Z, millennials, why they've embraced this lie.
Embraced it as a vehicle for maybe a greater truth, or at least a way to cope.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's complicated and fascinating.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, the foundation. What are the specific claims of this Birds Aren't Real movement? Its followers call it BRR, right?
That's right, BAR. And the entire world of this satire, this elaborate joke, it revolves around one core thesis. It's simple, but huge.
Which is?
That every single bird you see, every pigeon, every sparrow, every seagull, is actually a drone replica.
Not a living creature.
No, strategically deployed by the US government. And their purpose, to spy on citizens, all of us.
Okay, but that's a massive claim. It can't just be they're drones now. There has to be a backstory, right? Like what happened to the real birds?
Yes, because a grand conspiracy needs a history, a terrifying history in this case. This is where the plot introduces the concept of avian genocide.
Avian genocide, that sounds dramatic.
It is, it's the centerpiece of the lore. The movement claims there was this systematic, calculated act.
By the government.
By the federal government, yes. Where all real organic birds in the United States were, well, mercilessly slaughtered, is the phrase they use.
Mercilessly slaughtered, wow.
And this wasn't, a quick thing. They invented a precise timeline for this supposed extermination.
When was this supposed to have happened?
Stretching from 1959 all the way to 1971.
1959 to 1971, that's over a decade.
Exactly. Over a decade of silent, invisible extermination, according to the story.
And the scale. How many birds are we talking about here?
This is where the sheer absurdity really comes into focus. The BIR lore states that over 12 billion birds were killed.
12 billion with a B.
With a B. And subsequently replaced by these mechanized look-alike drones. one for one.
Okay, hold on. The logistics of that. Killing 12 billion birds secretly and then building and deploying 12 billion drones.
It's unimaginable, isn't it? The level of secrecy, the expenditure, the coordination.
Yeah.
It boggles the mind, which is, of course, part of the joke.
Right. And why that specific time frame, 59 to 71? Is there a reason given in the lore?
Well, it neatly encompasses the height of the Cold War. The peak of paranoia about surveillance, government secrecy, technological expansion.
Okay, so it lends this sort of air of historical, quote-unquote, plausibility. It taps into real anxieties from that era.
Precisely. It frames it as a massive government initiative hidden from the public eye, something that might have happened back then if you squint hard enough.
And like any good propaganda or satire mimicking propaganda, it needs simple, memorable phrases, right? You mentioned slogans earlier.
Oh, absolutely. It's essential for spreading the message. It's about creating a linguistic shortcut to the conspiracy. Makes it easy to share, easy to chant.
So what are some of the main ones?
Well, the most famous are probably, "If it flies, it spies."
Catchy and ominous.
And the other big one, which is deeply unsettling if you think about it, bird watching goes both ways.
Yeah, that gives you a little chill. It reframes a harmless hobby into something sinister.
Exactly. These slogans distill this incredibly complex 12 billion unit operation into a simple 2-second soundbite. Perfect for posters, perfect for social media.
So if this operation was so huge, the lore must insist on a total cover-up, right? How do they explain nobody noticing 12 billion birds disappearing and being replaced?
Right. The cover-up has to be absolute, total infiltration. The deep state, according to the Boer mythos, had to infiltrate every corner of daily life.
Like what? Give me examples from the lore.
Okay, so they claim the government has compromised everything. Popular culture, for instance. They specifically name innocent children's programming.
Oh no, don't tell me.
Sesame Street.
Big Bird, obviously.
Big Bird is a government plant, according to Berar.
According to Berar, yes. A tool for normalizing these avian drones in the minds of children.
That's dark and hilarious. What else?
Even simple household pets, like your pet canary.
My canary is spying on me.
Could be. According to the lore, potentially a compromised surveillance device, sending reports back to Langley, maybe?
Good grief. The message is clear then. The threat is total, inescapable. The surveillance state is everywhere, even in your birdcage. That's the atmosphere they create. It makes a mockery of civil liberties, portraying this pervasive, technologically advanced spying apparatus.
Okay, I think what often separates genuinely dangerous conspiracy theories from really successful satire like by RR is the level of unbelievable detail they invent. The proof. Right.
Exactly, the smoking gun evidence.
Yeah.
And often the most outlandish details are the ones that stick in people's minds the most.
So let's dig into those. What are the key pieces of evidence within the birds aren't real lore?
We absolutely must, because this is where the genius, the real humor of the joke truly shines. Okay, first, logistics. Drones need power, right?
Right, batteries don't last forever, especially not for 12 billion drones flying around constantly.
Precisely. So they must recharge. Where do they get their power?
Where?
Think about something you see birds do all the time, something very common.
Sitting on power lines.
Exactly. The movement claims that the very reason you see birds sitting on power lines is for this exact reason.
They're not resting. Or socializing.
Nope. They are plugging in. Wirelessly, maybe? Plugging into the government-erected recharging stations, drawing power directly off the municipal grid.
So those power lines are like giant charging strips for spy drones.
That's the idea. Then they resume their surveillance duties, fully charged. It takes a completely normal, everyday observation, a bird on a wire, and twists it into something sinister and technological.
That's brilliant in a way. What else? How do they track people?
The tracking methods. Equally brilliant and kind of gross.
Oh.
How do these drones track the specific individuals they're watching? The lore explains that bird droppings, on your car, on the pavement,
What about them?
they are supposedly a liquid tracking apparatus.
Well, liquid tracking apparatus, bird poo.
Deployed by the government drones to tag and follow specific citizens. So the next time you're annoyed by that mess on your windshield,
I'm wiping away government intelligence.
allegedly, you're interfering with national security operations.
That is inspiredly disgusting. Okay, what's the big one? I feel like there's one key piece of proof everyone mentions.
There is the truly iconic piece of evidence, the one that resonates almost universally, simply because it taps into something many people have subconsciously noticed, or rather, not noticed.
Which is?
The mysterious case of the baby pigeon.
Yes, the baby pigeon. Or the lack thereof.
Exactly. This is arguably the most effective element of the lore. The movement uses the common experience, the fact that almost nobody can recall ever seeing a baby pigeon in the wild as definitive, smoking gun proof.
It makes a weird kind of sense, doesn't it? Like you see adult pigeons constantly, everywhere, in every city. But where are the fluffy little baby ones? Where are the nests even?
Right. The lore claims this absence, this gap in our common experience, confirms that the entire species is fabricated. Adult pigeons, they say, come out of the factory as adults.
No childhood, no awkward teenage phase, just straight off the assembly line.
No natural life cycle, only assembly, deployment, and mission completion. It's this ingenious logical leap that turns a simple biological blind spot, or maybe just our lack of observation, into proof of a vast conspiracy.
It forces you, the listener, to actually stop and think, wait, have I ever seen a baby pigeon?
That moment of doubt, that little flicker of uncertainty, maybe they have a point. That's exactly what the satire is designed to exploit. It gets under your skin.
So maybe take a moment now, listener. Step away from your screen if you can. Close your eyes. Just picture it. 12 billion rechargeable, liquid-trapping, factory-fresh spy drone pigeons. Let the sheer wonderful absurdity of it wash over you.
It's quite a picture.
Okay, so we've got the plot. The terrifying, completely fictional plot. Avian genocide, drone replacements, power line charging. The works. Now let's trace it back. How did this whole thing actually start?
Right, because while the lore claims to be decades old, their website traces it back to like 1976, the actual ground zero moment. The spark is surprisingly recent and very spontaneous.
So who started it and when?
The creator is a guy named Peter McIndoe. And at the time, he was just a college student. He famously created the entire theory basically on a whim.
On a whim, not like carefully planned satire.
Not initially, no. It highlights how movements can just erupt in the modern information age, sometimes by accident.
Okay, so set the scene. Where and when did this whim happen?
The setting is really crucial for context. It was January 2017, so just after the U.S. presidential inauguration of Donald Trump. A very polarized time.
Right. Lots of protests, lots of tension.
Exactly. The birth of Bakar happened in Memphis, Tennessee, specifically during the 2017 Women's March there. McIndoe was present, just observing the scene.
What was he feeling? What prompted the idea?
He said he was hanging out with friends, and he felt genuinely uneasy watching the pro-Trump counter-protesters who were also there. He described seeing chaos, division, escalating tension.
Yeah, that sounds about right for that period.
And his motivation, he said, was to find some kind of disruptive but crucially non-political antidote to the chaos. Something that could cut through the noise.
Something absurd.
The most nonsensical thing possible. Something everyone could potentially unite around, even just in shared confusion or amusement.
So what did he do?
In that moment, right there, he just grabbed something, scrawled "birds aren't real" on a poster.
Just like that?
Just like that. And then, with apparently immense conviction, he just walked into the crowd among the protesters and counter-protesters and started improvising the conspiracy theory.
Improvising? He didn't have the whole bird genocide thing planned out?
Not at all. He just started rattling off random passionate claims. Stuff about the avian genocide, the drone replacements, making it up as he went along, performing it with deadpan seriousness.
That takes some guts.
Or something.
And that's the viral spark. Someone filmed McIndoe's spontaneous, intensely serious, totally in-character performance at the march.
Ah, the power of the smartphone video.
Exactly. That video went viral online, and it immediately launched what McIndoe then realized could be a sustainable satirical movement. He basically created a mass participatory artwork, almost by accident, out of pure theatrical improv. What's truly remarkable, though, is the commitment after that initial spark. He didn't just let it be a funny viral video.
No, not at all. He committed. He kept up the persona, the spokesperson act, for 5 solid years.
5 years, staying in character.
5 years. Building a brand, creating lore, touring the country in a van, even making money selling merchandise, t-shirts, stickers, hats, all promoting the truth.
Wow. That's dedication to the bit. How did he handle skepticism? People must have challenged him, asked if it was a joke.
Constantly. And maintaining the illusion was key. There was a brief moment early on, in 2017, where he apparently posted on Facebook admitting it was satire.
Oh, so he did break character early.
Briefly. But then he deployed this brilliant piece of meta-satire. He quickly deleted it and claimed a rogue staffer had written that post and had been immediately fired for spreading misinformation.
Fired for telling the truth. That's perfect.
It perfectly maintained the necessary absolute illusion of belief for the public. He didn't formally publicly break character and admit the satire until years later, in 2022.
Was he working alone on building this whole world?
No, he wasn't alone in constructing the elaborate structure. He was joined pretty early on by a co-founder, Connor Gaydos.
And what was Gaydos' role?
Gaydos was vital in adding depth and historical legitimacy to the lore. He was apparently a history buff.
Ah, so he helped flesh out the backstory.
Exactly. He helped write a detailed but totally fake history for the movement. And crucially, they started fabricating leaked documents. Blurry photos, redacted reports.
A classic conspiracy theory props.
The essentials. Things that make the claims feel more credible to newcomers, even if they're completely nonsensical on close inspection.
Did Gaydos add anything else to the mythos?
He did. He added a piece of biographical fiction. He claimed that his own father, a man named Clark Gaydos, was the original founder of BRR way back in the 1970s.
Seriously, so passing down the torch.
Exactly. But with a tragic twist, of course. He claimed his father mysteriously disappeared in the mid-90s, leaving the mantle, the responsibility of spreading the truth, to Connor.
Wow. So they built a whole family legacy into the joke.
That level of dedication, crafting a shared dramatic fake history, that's what makes the satire function so well. It mirrors the way real mythologies are built.
So how did they spread the word? Beyond online videos, McIndoe mentioned touring.
Yes, he famously toured the country to spread the feathered gospel, as they called it. He did it in his beat-up van.
A tour van for a fake conspiracy theory.
Absolutely. He affectionately called it his Loyal Duchess. And imagine this thing. It was covered, plastered in black and white slogans, "Wake up, birds charge on power lines."
Oh, I bet it had diagrams, too.
It did. A complex diagram supposedly detailing the internal workings of the first-generation bird drone. It was like a mobile piece of performance art driving around America.
And his media appearances, you mentioned he stayed in character. How extreme was that?
Pretty extreme. There was a notable TV interview in 2019 with a station called WREG TV in Memphis. The interviewer, understandably, asked him point blank if it was satire.
And McIndoe,
completely deadpan, claimed he was offended by the very question.
Offended? Why?
His reasoning was actually quite pointed, quite clever. He basically said, why should he be subjected to that question? Would the interviewer ask someone who believes the opposite, that birds are real, if their belief was satire?
That's a sharp point, actually.
It is. It's the core irony of the whole exercise. He was demanding that his blatant absurdity be treated with the same neutral respect, the same weight as mainstream belief.
Highlighting how quickly any belief, no matter how outlandish, can solidify into an identity that demands validation, not questioning.
Exactly. It shows how the rules of engagement change once something becomes a belief system, even a fake one.
So, as you continue listening to this Dreamy Deep Dive, just remember, listener, you're hearing about more than just a conspiracy theory.
You're hearing about a sustained, incredibly successful piece of performance art, designed specifically to reflect and maybe comment on our chaotic, often bewildering modern media environment.
It's theater on a massive scale.
So this intense commitment from McIndoe and Gaydos, combined with the deeply detailed, shareable lore, it really worked. The movement rapidly built incredible momentum.
Especially with younger people, you said.
Overwhelmingly. By 2021, major news outlets like MSNBC were reporting the movement had hundreds of thousands of members, mostly Gen Z and millennials, people who grew up online, immersed in meme culture and, well, misinformation.
So how did this growing base amplify the absurdity? What were some key moments or actions?
Well, they didn't just stay online. One major target was, fittingly, social media itself, specifically Twitter.
Ah, the Bird app, of course.
Exactly. In 2021, BR supporters actually organized a protest. They went physically outside Twitter's San Francisco headquarters.
What were they protesting? What was their demand?
Their demand was simple, that Twitter change its iconic bird logo.
Change the logo. Why?
Because, they declared, the bird logo was offensive. It promoted the pro-bird government lie, normalizing the existence of these spy drones.
Offensive. That's taking the joke to a whole new level of corporate engagement. Did Twitter change it?
No, they did not. But the protest got media attention, which was the point.
And they held other rallies, too. Not just at Twitter.
Oh, yes. They proved it wasn't just an online phenomenon. They held visible, in-person rallies in various cities. You'd see groups chanting slogans.
Yike, if it flies, it spies.
That and others targeting media outlets perceived as part of the cover-up. Things like, CNN, pro-bird, shouted in public spaces.
calling out news networks for being pro-bird.
It's perfectly nonsensical. And they even managed to make large-scale public statements. They crowdfunded and erected actual billboards.
Billboards? Saying what?
Famously, there was a big "Birds Aren't Real" billboard put up in Memphis, Tennessee back in 2019, near where it all started.
Oh, wow. That shows real dedication, organization, and spending actual money to promote a fake conspiracy.
It does. It blurred the lines between joke and reality in a very public way.
Now, you mentioned earlier that part of the satirical genius is how Barr intentionally borrows from real conspiracy theories.
Yes, strategically. It borrows the tropes, the structures, the language of real and sometimes dangerous conspiracy theories.
Why do that?
It gives the joke flavor, makes it recognizable, and it immediately reflects the kind of ambient paranoia, the conspiracy-minded thinking that's so prevalent in the surrounding political and online environment. It holds up a mirror.
So let's talk specifics. How did they borrow? What real theories or events did they reference in the lore?
Okay, well, they incorporate specific nods to really significant tragic events and deeply entrenched American conspiracies. For instance, the JFK assassination.
How does JFK fit into the bird genocide?
According to the Bear R lore, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated by the government because he was showing reluctance. He was hesitant to go along with the plan to kill all the birds.
So JFK was pro-bird, and that's why he was killed.
In their fictional universe, yes. It's a shrewd move, narratively. By marrying the deeply ingrained American mythology and the endless conspiracy theories surrounding the JFK assassination to their bird genocide plot.
They make their absurd theory seem almost connected to real history.
Exactly. It demonstrates how easily these grand narrative structures can be grafted onto existing, emotionally charged historical events. It satirizes the process of conspiracy formation itself, shows how flexible those narrative templates are.
That's clever. What else? Any other echoes of real conspiracies?
Yes, there's Poultreygate.
Poultreygate. Like Watergate, but with chickens, drones?
Sort of. It was a fictional scandal they invented and publicized. It involved, supposedly, hundreds of leaked government emails revealing the bird plot.
Leaked emails? That sounds very familiar.
It clearly, deliberately echoes the structure and even the naming convention of the debunked and genuinely harmful Pizzagate conspiracy theory.
Right, so they're using the template of a dangerous theory.
Precisely. What's fascinating and important is that the creators of Back R aren't spreading harm with Poultreygate. They're using the architectural blueprints of harmful theories.
To build a fortress of absurdity.
Perfectly put. They're showing that the templates used to create divisive, toxic lies are generic. They can be applied to literally anything, even the non-existence of pigeons. It drains the original template of its power by showing how silly it can be.
Okay, and every grand conspiracy needs its inside source, right? The whistleblower.
Absolutely. The figure of revelation. The person who breaks ranks and exposes the truth. McIndoe and Gatos knew they needed one.
So they invented someone.
They did. A character named Eugene Price.
Eugene Price. What was his supposed story?
He was portrayed as an old man, supposedly a former high-ranking CIA officer, and he was the one who came forward to reveal the terrible secret of the bird genocide.
How did they make him seem credible or haunted?
They went to great lengths. McIndoe actually talked about this. He said they specifically looked for the oldest man they could find for the portrayal, someone who looked appropriately guilty and burdened by decades of silence.
Like visually haunted.
Yeah, with bags under the eyes, McIndoe said. Someone who looked like they hadn't slept properly since the 1960s because they were carrying this terrible secret.
And how did they release his story?
They created a video, a dramatic piece titled The Confession of Eugene Price.
A confession video. Did it get much attention?
Massive attention. It apparently reached over 10 million views on TikTok alone.
10 million? Wow.
That single video really solidified the lore for a huge new audience, especially younger people on platforms like TikTok. It made the backstory feel more real, more tangible.
The dedication of the followers of bird truthers themselves seems like a big part of this too. It wasn't just McIndoe performing.
Oh, absolutely. The community aspect is crucial. We started seeing passionate campus chapters springing up at universities.
Like student clubs, for birds aren't real.
Exactly. Like the one mentioned at Northern Arizona University. They would run rallies on campus, conduct interviews with student media, actively spreading what they lovingly called the feathered gospel.
The feathered gospel. I love it. Did they talk like real conspiracy theorists?
They did, which was part of the performance. The student president of that NAU chapter, a guy named Brendan Traxel, he used the precise language you hear from real conspiracists.
Like what?
He told reporters their goal was to encourage people to question everything and, crucially, to do the research.
Do the research, the classic line.
Using that specific phrase, within the context of promoting complete nonsense about bird drones, creates this profound layer of powerful irony. It highlights how easily that phrase can be used to justify any belief.
And the followers were really committed, even when things got weird.
Incredibly committed. So much so that even when McIndoe finally broke character in 2022, releasing interviews confirming the whole thing was satire.
Some followers didn't believe him.
Some loyal followers insisted that McIndoe's confession video must be a deep fake, created by the government maybe, to discredit the movement. They kept up the farce themselves.
Wow. The community identity became stronger than the creator's own word.
It shows how powerful that sense of belonging can be. The shared belief, the shared joke, transcended its origins.
The movement also seemed to embrace a kind of chaos, right? There's that bizarre TV incident.
Yes. The WGN9 interview in Chicago, January 2022. Live TV. McIndoe was doing his usual deadpan spokesperson routine.
And then what happened?
And then he appeared to start choking, gagging, and then abruptly vomited on live television.
He vomited on air. Was it real?
It's unclear. News organizations called it an apparent prank. McIndoe himself later sort of framed it as maybe a hit job by the station or just part of the performance art. Hard to say.
But that chaos served a purpose for the movement.
I think so. Regardless of the intent, that moment cemented the idea that the world of BRR is volatile, unpredictable, maybe even unreliable. It perfectly mirrored the volatile nature of the information ecosystem they were parodying.
Right. When your whole premise is that reality is absurd and chaotic, adding more absurdity and chaos just kind of reinforces the central joke.
Exactly. It keeps people guessing, keeps them talking. It fuels the meta-narrative.
Okay. Take a breath, listener. That was a whole lot of calculated theatrical absurdity we just walked through. Protests, billboards, fake whistleblowers, vomiting on TV.
It's quite a performance piece.
But now we need to pivot. We need to move from the performance to the profound. What was the real, deeper purpose behind all this? Why did Peter McIndoe dedicate half a decade of his young life to this incredibly elaborate, probably exhausting joke?
That's the crucial question, and the answer is surprisingly thoughtful.
So the mask finally came off in 2022. Peter McIndoe broke character. How did that happen?
It happened through major media profiles. First, a really detailed piece in Vice, and then later he appeared on the prominent U.S. news program 60 Minutes.
And what did he say? He confirmed it was all a joke.
Yes, he confirmed unequivocally that the entire Birds Aren't Real movement was and always had been a complete and intentional parody, a piece of satirical performance art.
Okay, so what was the purpose then? If it wasn't real, why do it for so long and with such commitment?
The purpose, as he explained it, was actually profoundly empathetic and sociological. It wasn't just about being funny.
What was the deeper vision?
The vision was to create a kind of safe space within the often toxic world of misinformation. A space where people, especially younger generations growing up surrounded by it, could laugh at it rather than be scared by it.
Laugh at the absurdity instead of being overwhelmed by it.
Exactly. It was about collectively acknowledging and accepting the lunacy of it all, as he put it, finding a way to cope through shared humor.
Did his collaborators, like Connor Gatos, agree with that?
Yes, they reinforced that vision. They described the movement as an essential outlet for a generation that felt like it was drowning in conspiracy theories, online manipulation, fake news.
So it was a response to that environment.
A direct response. Their unspoken message, McIndoe suggested, was essentially this: you've been lying to us through algorithms, through political rhetoric, through hidden agendas. So, okay, we're going to lie to you back.
But lie in a harmless way.
And we're going to do it in a way that is transparently, undeniably funny. We'll fight your absurdity with our own absurdity.
Fighting lunacy with lunacy as a form of activism.
Precisely. But what's perhaps most insightful is McIndoe's analysis of why people fall for conspiracy theories in the first place.
And this seems rooted very deeply in his own personal experiences growing up.
What was his background? How did that inform his understanding?
Well, McIndoe talked about being raised in a very specific, highly ideological environment. He described it as a hyper-conservative and fundamentalist community in the state of Arkansas.
Okay, so quite insulated, perhaps. It sounds like it. And he said he saw firsthand how deeply rooted belief systems function within such communities. Conspiracy theories weren't fringe ideas. They were often embedded as accepted fact.
Like what kind of theories?
He gave examples like the idea that public school curriculum was secretly designed to brainwash kids into believing in evolution, or that the government was actively promoting what they saw as harmful ideas, like the acceptability of homosexuality. These weren't jokes. They were presented as serious threats.
So living within that gave him a unique perspective.
It seems it gave him a keen, almost anthropological insight into the core mechanics of conspiracy thinking. Not just the content, but how it works on people.
And what was his core insight? Why do people believe these things?
He argued, quite compellingly, that adopting a conspiracy theory is rarely about a rigorous search for facts or objective truth. It's usually about something far more fundamental to human needs.
Which is?
Belonging.
Belonging. More than belief.
Yes. He sees it as a profound shortcut. A way to gain an instant sense of identity, a clear purpose in life, and, crucially, an immediate community.
Especially if you feel disconnected or lost otherwise.
Exactly. When you feel adrift, being initiated into a secret knowledge, a hidden truth that they don't want you to know, it provides instant structure, instant meaning. You're one of the enlightened ones.
Can you give an example of how that works?
Well, he pointed to movements like QAnon. Believers saw themselves as digital soldiers fighting a secret war against, baby-eating Democrats or whatever the claim was.
Right, it's a very dramatic narrative.
It is. And that narrative instantly transforms the individual believer. McIndoe talked about how it tweaks a person's probability meter. Suddenly, unlikely things seem plausible because they fit the story.
And it makes them feel important.
It makes them feel like a crucial hero in this grand, unfolding, dystopian story they are telling themselves and telling each other. They shift from feeling maybe helpless or insignificant to feeling indispensable, a fighter against the darkness.
And Birds Aren't Real offered a similar structure.
It offered the exact same identity boost, the same sense of being in the know, the same community. But the enemy was just a non-existent pigeon drone. All the structure, none of the real-world harm.
That's fascinating. He also mentioned something about loneliness, didn't he? Particularly regarding certain demographics.
Yes. His analysis speaks directly to the loneliness factor, which researchers also link to conspiracy belief. McIndoe suggested that older men, a demographic sometimes observed to be prone to falling for serious online conspiracies.
Why them particularly?
He theorized that they might be drawn to these online groups because they provide easy, emotionally simple connection and friendship, especially if maybe traditional social structures have faded for them.
So it's like a replacement mechanism for lost communities.
Exactly. These online conspiracy communities can act almost like a stand-in for, say, a local club or a workplace camaraderie, or even the kind of community that traditional religion used to provide for many.
They find a new tribe online.
A new tribe. And the shared belief, however absurd or detached from reality it might be, becomes the glue. It's the shared secret handshake, the thing that binds them together against the perceived outgroup.
So if you're listening to this, maybe reflecting on friends or family members who seem to have fallen down some rabbit hole.
McIndoe's observation is really worth considering. Maybe take a moment of that screen-free reflection right now. Ask yourself, are they truly seeking objective truth? Or are they perhaps desperately seeking acceptance?
Yeah.
Shared purpose, the validation of a community that recognizes them, maybe even sees them as a hero.
That deep focus on fulfilling those needs, identity, belonging, purpose, that seems to be precisely why the satirical BR movement became so incredibly successful.
Exactly. It provided the community the shared inside joke, the sense of purpose, fighting the bourgeoisie, but without the toxic real-world consequences of believing harmful lies. It allowed people to healthily last at the world's madness together.
It met the need, but redirected the energy towards something harmless and funny.
A safe space to laugh at the lunacy, indeed. Okay, now. Here is where our Dreamy Deep Dive takes a truly fantastic, almost unbelievable, ironic turn.
Ooh, what's the twist?
The twist is this. The entire success of the Birds Aren't Real parody, this huge joke about government spy drones disguised as birds. It's underpinned by very real, historically documented fact.
Which is, don't leave us hanging.
The deep irony is, the US government did actually use spy animals, including birds.
Wait, what? Seriously? That sounds like something straight out of the BR lore itself.
Doesn't it? But these are genuine, documented historical espionage efforts. primarily from the CIA and other intelligence agencies, mostly during the Cold War.
Okay, you have to tell us more. Let's start with the birds. Real spy birds.
Real spy birds, pigeons specifically.
Pigeons, like regular pigeons? How did that work?
The CIA actually developed programs where they deployed ordinary homing pigeons, but with tiny, custom-made, very lightweight cameras strapped to their chests.
Miniature cameras on pigeons back in the Cold War.
Yes. The technology was surprisingly advanced for the time. These cameras could take dozens of high-resolution photos automatically during a flight.
But why pigeons? Why not just use spy planes?
The specific reason is compelling. Pigeons are everywhere, right? Especially in European cities, which were key intelligence targets. They could fly into sensitive areas completely unnoticed.
They could blend in
Perfectly. They could conceal themselves among thousands of other ordinary birds, making them virtually undetectable. And because they fly lower than planes,
they could get closer.
much closer. The pigeon cams could capture highly detailed imagery from just hundreds of feet up, often providing superior, closer, more specific views of things like Soviet shipyards or military installations than high-altitude U-2 planes or even early Corona satellites could achieve at the time.
That is absolutely incredible. So the core idea of BR wasn't entirely fiction.
The idea of birds being used for surveillance, not fiction at all, just not robotic drones doing it yet.
Okay, pigeons. What other animals did they try to weaponize or espionageize?
Well, not all the animal espionage attempts were quite as successful as the pigeons. Which brings us to the truly bizarre, almost legendary story of the spy cats.
Spy cats. Please tell me they strapped cameras to cats.
Even weirder. The program was officially codenamed Acoustikitty. This was a real CIA project in the 1960s.
Acoustikitty, what were they trying to do?
They were trying to use a live cat as a mobile listening device, a furry bug.
How on earth?
The cat underwent surgery. They implanted a tiny microphone inside its ear canal.
Oh, the poor cat.
And a small radio transmitter was implanted in its chest cavity. The antenna was actually a thin wire woven into its fur along its back.
Unbelievable. What was the mission objective for this bionic cat?
The idea was to have this surgically altered cat stroll casually near, say, park benches in Washington, D.C., or outside Soviet embassies, places where foreign agents and their handlers might be having sensitive conversations.
And the cat would just eavesdrop and transmit the audio.
That was the plan. And technologically, it actually worked to some extent. The implanted device did transmit signals in tests.
But I sense a but coming.
But as literally any cat owner on the planet could have told the CIA, the cat was utterly impossible to control.
Of course it was. It's a cat.
During the limited field test, the feline agent simply wandered wherever it felt like. It got distracted by butterflies, it decided to take a nap in a patch of sun, it went looking for food. It did not go where the agents needed it to go to listen to the targets.
So Acoustikitty was a failure because cats are cats.
Pretty much. The program was officially terminated in 1967, deemed impractical. Herding cats is hard enough. Directing a specific cat to a specific park bench on command is basically impossible.
Is there a story about what happened to the cat?
The failure has its own enduring myth. There's this persistent rumor, repeated for decades, that the very first Acoustikitty was tragically killed by a taxicab just moments after being released for its first official field test. Run over right at the start.
Oh, that's terrible. And darkly funny in a spy fail kind of way. Is it true?
Apparently not. A former CIA official later admitted, I think in the early 2000s, that the cat killed by a cab story was actually just a dark joke they used to tell internally back in the 70s to illustrate the program's failure.
So the story itself became a kind of conspiracy theory.
It took on a life of its own, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like the Baba conspiracy, it proves how easily entertaining fiction, especially a dramatic story, can overshadow the bland, factual truth, which was just that the project didn't work.
Okay, spy pigeons, failed spy cats. What else is in the CIA's weird animal espionage menagerie?
Well, their efforts extended underwater as well. They developed spy fish.
Spy fish, like robotic fish?
Exactly. Specifically, a vehicle nicknamed Charlie the Catfish.
Charlie the catfish. Why a catfish?
Catfish are common bottom-dwelling fish. Charlie was actually an unmanned underwater vehicle, a UUV, designed to look and move like a large catfish for stealth.
What was Charlie's mission?
Charlie's job was to swim, often upstream, near sensitive areas like nuclear facilities or ports, and discreetly collect water samples.
To test for pollutants or secret stuff?
Exactly. Testing for things like nuclear runoff or maybe biochemical agents being dumped. It could be controlled remotely by a radio handset. It allowed the CIA to monitor activities without anyone suspecting a fish.
A robotic catfish spy. The Cold War was truly wild. Any insects get involved.
Oh yes, we had spy bugs. Literally.
Wow.
In the 1970s, the CIA's Office of Research and Development created something called the Insectothopter.
Insectothopter.
It was essentially one of the very first insect-sized unmanned aerial vehicles, or microdrones. And it was perfectly disguised as an everyday dragonfly.
A dragonfly drone in the 70s. That sounds like science fiction.
It was cutting edge. It was intended to be a miniature listening device, powered by a tiny oscillating gas engine, and supposedly it could be directed precisely using a laser beam.
Did it work? Could they actually use it?
It could fly. Test flights showed it could cover maybe 200 meters in about a minute. But the logistics, again, proved too difficult for operational deployment.
What was the problem this time?
The major limitation: wind. It failed completely in any crosswind stronger than about 5 miles per hour.
Ah. So a slight breeze would just blow the spy dragonfly away.
Constantly getting blown off course. Another brilliant idea thwarted by simple physics and nature.
Okay, this is all amazing, but surely they didn't use, like, dead animals. That seems too macabre, even for spies.
But they did. We must discuss the most unusual and frankly kind of disgusting disguises that truly underscore the real-life complexity and griminess of espionage: the use of animal remnants.
Oh no, what did they use?
Okay, example 1. During the Vietnam War, the military needed to conceal seismic intruder detection devices in the jungle. These sensors could track enemy troop movements up to 300 meters away.
How do you hide something like that in the jungle?
The solution they came up with: disguise the sensors as tiger droppings.
As tiger poo, seriously.
Seriously, since tigers were native to Vietnam, the scat disguise was perfect. It blended right into the dense habitat. And crucially, it would repel the interest of anyone passing by. Nobody wants to inspect tiger poo too closely.
That is horribly clever. Okay, what else? What about dead rats? You mentioned them in the outline.
Yes. For classic Cold War espionage, dead drops. You know, a secret hiding place for agents to leave or pick up messages, money, microfilm.
How did dead rats fit in?
Field officers would utilize actual dead rats as concealment devices.
Ow!
They would take a real dead rat, carefully treat the carcass with a preservation agent to stop it decomposing too quickly. Then they'd hollow out the body cavity, insert the sensitive materials, the notes, the film, the cash, and then carefully sew it back up.
And then just leave it lying somewhere.
Exactly. Leave it in an alleyway, a gutter. The thinking was foolproof. Any normal human would find a dead rat utterly disgusting and avoid touching it or even looking too closely. Perfect concealment.
But there had to be a flaw.
There was a flaw they hadn't accounted for initially: stray cats.
The cats. Of course, they wouldn't be disgusted. They'd be interested.
Precisely. The local stray cats kept finding these carefully prepared dead drops and stealing them, carrying them off to eat or play with, compromising the mission.
Oh my God, so what did the spies do? How do you cat-proof a dead rat?
They tried everything. Apparently, they experimented with coating the rats in hot sauce, cayenne pepper, trying to make them unpalatable to cats. Didn't work well enough.
So what was the final brilliant solution?
Wormwood oil.
Wormwood oil.
Yes. They discovered that dousing the preserved rat carcasses in wormwood oil before placement successfully deterred the feline thieves. Cats apparently hate the smell or taste of wormwood.
Wow. The ingenuity and the sheer weirdness of Cold War spycraft. Dead rats soaked in wormwood oil.
It really happened. So the takeaway here is profound, isn't it?
Yeah. When Peter McIndoe first claimed birds were government spies,
He was perhaps unknowingly tapping directly into a very real, deep-seated anxiety about the surveillance state. An anxiety proven to have a basis in historical precedent.
so you, the listener, can certainly appreciate now. The idea of animal surveillance isn't entirely an invention, not by a long shot.
The better art joke landed so well, partly because the premise felt disturbingly plausible.
Okay, we are entering the final stage of our Dreamy deep dive. We've covered the crazy lore, the spontaneous origin, the viral spread, the satirical purpose, and the incredibly ironic real history.
It's been quite a journey through the looking glass.
So let's bring the discussion back now to the larger social implications. What does this whole phenomenon tell us? And more importantly, what can we learn from it, especially regarding how we deal with misinformation in our own lives?
McIndoe had some advice, right?
He did, based on his unique experience both growing up around conspiracy thinking and then creating a massive satirical version of it. And his advice challenges common approaches.
How so? What doesn't work, according to him?
He noted that the most intuitive tactic of, directly confronting someone who believes something false, telling them point blank, that's not true, you're wrong, you need to educate yourself, is often completely ineffective. Why? Isn't presenting facts the right thing to do?
It seems logical, but McIndoe argues it fails because it ignores the underlying reason why the person holds the belief. Remember our discussion about belonging and identity.
Right. The belief isn't just about facts. It's tied to their community, their sense of self, maybe their sense of purpose.
Exactly. So when you directly attack the belief with facts, you're essentially asking them to abandon their community, their identity, maybe even their feeling of being special or heroic. It's a huge ask, and it forces them immediately onto the defensive. They dig in deeper.
So arguing doesn't work. What does he suggest instead? He used a metaphor, didn't he?
Yes, a powerful metaphor that really requires some quiet, screen-free reflection. He called it the dark room metaphor.
The dark room metaphor. How does it go?
He said, imagine someone has been sitting in a dark room for a very long time. Their eyes have completely adjusted to the darkness. It feels normal to them. Now, if you suddenly burst in, shouting that the room is actually pitch black, and they're completely wrong about reality, they can't see the contrast you're talking about. Their adjusted eyes tell them you're the one who's wrong, maybe you're crazy or aggressive.
Because their subjective experience is darkness and it feels normal, arguing about brightness doesn't register.
Precisely. You can't convince them they're in darkness just by yelling about it. No. So what's the better approach?
What is it?
Instead of arguing with them in the darkness, McIndoe suggests the best thing you can do is gently, perhaps slowly, turn on a light.
Turn on a light, metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically. Focus on empathy, not argument. Focus on connection, on building bridges. Maybe provide an alternative, healthy community or a different source of meaning and belonging in their life.
So they can see the contrast for themselves between the darkness of the conspiracy theory and the light of reality, or at least a healthier perspective.
Exactly. Let them see the contrast. Don't force it on them. Create the conditions where they might choose to walk towards the light themselves, because they now have somewhere else to go, some other way to belong.
That's a much more patient and empathetic approach than just debunking.
It is. And this is where satire, like Birds Aren't Real, plays its role. It's a form of non-confrontational activism.
How does BR act like turning on a light?
It demonstrates that laughing together at lunacy and giving people a safe, welcoming space to do that laughing can be a highly effective form of political or social commentary. It shines a specific kind of light, the light of shared humor and absurdity, to combat the chaos of disinformation without making people feel attacked.
It offers community and shared perspective, but focused on something harmlessly funny instead of something divisive.
Exactly. It's a different kind of light, maybe a disco ball rather than a spotlight, but it illuminates the absurdity without the aggression.
So what's the future for the big? Birds Aren't Real movement itself? McIndoe has stepped back a bit.
The legacy seems secure. The online community is still very passionate. The memes keep flowing. McIndoe has indicated he plans to step away from the day-to-day performance aspect.
Is someone else taking over?
He apparently handed over the crucial fictional role of public information officer to a new figure, a character named Dan Henshaw, to keep the public-facing joke going.
And McIndoe himself, what's he doing now?
He's continuing the satirical legacy, but through different ventures. He's reportedly working on a book.
About the movement.
Written entirely in character, of course, as Peter McIndoe, the bird truther.
Naturally. Anything else?
And apparently there's even talk of a Birds Aren't Real movie. So the joke persists, the satire continues, but its creator seems to be pivoting towards maybe exploring the larger sociological questions his creation raised.
Especially with new challenges on the horizon, like AI.
Yes, he specifically acknowledged that. The rapid rise of sophisticated artificial intelligence, deepfakes, AI-generated text, manipulated audio makes media literacy even more critical now than ever before.
It's getting harder and harder to know what's real online.
McIndoe noted that chilling shift we used to tell kids, don't trust everything you see on the internet. Now, he suggests, the new, more unsettling rule of thumb might have to become, don't trust anything you see online until you can verify it offline.
Wow, that's a stark warning. The ability to discern truth, let alone share a common truth, is becoming exponentially harder.
It is. And this entire journey we've taken tonight, from the mass avian genocide lore, to the genius of the missing baby pigeon, to the absurdity of Poultregate, and then the reality of CIA spy cats and wormwood-soaked rats.
It's all a profound mirror, isn't it? Reflecting our strange modern world.
It really is. The movement's true function, beyond the comedy, seems to be this deep commentary on our state of modern information overload, and also on that fundamental, very human need for community and identity, especially in a world that feels increasingly volatile, confusing, maybe even fictionalized sometimes.
And what's truly fascinating, as you said, is that while birds aren't real, is this perfect, elaborate joke.
It only became so successful because deep down, instinctively, we know that the core idea, government surveillance, even through seemingly innocent creatures flying overhead, isn't entirely an invention. History shows us that. The fear is relatable.
But the bigger point seems to be about why we connect to these ideas.
I think so. What really stands out most from McIndoe's insights and the movement's success is how easily we humans can substitute genuine, maybe difficult, nuanced connection for the cheap, immediate shortcuts offered by things like outrage, shared paranoia, and simplistic group identity.
Finding a tribe based on a shared enemy, real or imagined.
Exactly. And this raises a final important question. A provocative thought, perhaps, for you, our listener, to carry into your evening or your drive or just your quiet thoughts.
What's the question?
When seeking a community, when looking for that sense of belonging we all crave, are you primarily looking for a grand, easily understood, often dramatic purpose like fighting a secret enemy? Or are you, perhaps more simply, just looking for a safe space, a place to connect with others, maybe even just to laugh together at the confusion and chaos of it all?
Purpose versus connection. Or maybe finding purpose in connection itself. Something to definitely ponder.
Indeed. Hashtag tag outro.
We really hope this Dreamy Deep Dive gave you a restful, perhaps thought-provoking, and definitely screen-free break.
Remember those benefits you hopefully enjoyed just now? Maybe a little less eye strain, perhaps a clearer focus for a while, maybe just a moment of reduced stress. Carry that quiet clarity with you if you can.
It's Hill Monique here, and thank you so much for tuning in to Dreamy Deep Dive.
If you enjoyed what you tuned into tonight and you'd like more of these kinds of ASMR-like explorations in the future, please do remember to subscribe to Dreamy Deep Dive.
Also, if you hit the little bell button, that will let you know when we release new deep dives.
And most importantly, perhaps, if you could like this particular audio track or video, well, that helps the algorithms recommend it to other listeners who might share the same interest.
Or even better, maybe share it directly with people you know who might appreciate this kind of, non-visual, brain-enticing, knowledgeable content, something to listen to while driving or cooking or just resting their eyes.
Until next time, stay curious, keep questioning maybe, and definitely rest those eyes.
Bye for now.